Hello, how we doing, everybody? Today we are talking about whether you need to play The Last of Us Part 1 for PS5 or if you can skip it. And while we're at it, we're pulling into the speculation station to discuss whether or not Naughty Dog is teasing their next game in this new remake. We're also going to talk about Ubisoft unveiling the future of its beloved franchise Assassin's Creed this Saturday. We might finally be getting Zelda Wind Waker and Twilight Princess announcements for the Switch this month. And then to top it all off, I may or may not be doing a live fantasy football draft during today's recording. For all that and more, you're already in the right place. The Spotlight Games Podcast. I'm your host, Patrick Schweigert, a.k.a. Trick Daddy, a.k.a. P-Schwag, a.k.a. Bisquick, a.k.a. Patty Fatsacks, a.k.a. the fattest ass in video games. And joining me as always is my sweet dumpster boy who's feeling a little under the weather still. Cayman, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Patrick. Doing good.
I'm bringing the energy today in case you're still feeling a little down.
So the verdict's still out on whether or not this is COVID.
Okay.
Which if it is, it'll be the third time.
I swear, third time's the charm, right?
Here's the thing. Like I feel like this has to be said. Like I don't do a lot of things, especially like, I just sit around at home. So like, for instance, this weekend, right? So Sid went on her bachelorette party. She went out, so she was gone all weekend. She didn't come back until Monday. The only time I left the apartment from I want to say I didn't go in the office at all last week. So the only time I left my apartment for a full week was Saturday. I went to the grocery store.
Oh, which one? Where'd you go?
I went to Kroger. Just should have known. I had to go to Publix. I had to go to Publix. That would have been the one I wouldn't.
It would have been a pleasure if you went to Publix, but so
here's the thing, though. I get sick on probably around Monday afternoon. I started feeling a little weird. Okay. I got a little emotional, which is like the first sign I'm sick is when I start to get like emotional. And then Monday night, I'm like, man, I am not feeling right. Like something's wrong. Like throat hurts. I'm starting to get a little achy. I'm like, it's probably allergies, whatever. Wake up Monday, running a fever. Take my COVID test. Have a faint second line on the COVID test. I'm like,
the old faint line.
And I'm like, I don't know. To me, I'm like, this is inconclusive. I don't know.
I demand a recount.
Yeah, I'm feeling better today. Still not 100%. But I do apologize that I wasn't here Tuesday.
No.
On the normal thing.
No. We don't apologize for being sick.
But yeah, man, like the first time I got COVID, we were in lockdown. The only places we went were literally the grocery store and home.
Was it the same Kroger?
No, this was a different. I was
about to say two's a pattern.
And so,
two's a coincidence, three's a pattern.
The second time I got it, I actually got it from a family member who didn't inform the family that they were sick when they showed up to like a very small family get together, and got every single person sick. This time it's like apparently I'm cursed, can never go. I'm gonna have like grocery store PTSD.
Yeah.
This is where my head is right now, guys.
That's a whole new level of PTSD.
Yeah.
Oh no. Well, I'm glad you're feeling a little better. If at any point you need to tap out, I can just monologue if I need to. I
would never do that to you.
We can make it work. Well, we do have a lot of video game stuff to talk about because this is the Spotlight Games Podcast, where each week we spotlight the latest and greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing to our YouTube channel or by searching for Spotlight Games in your favorite podcast app. And hey, you can be on the show by tuning in live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, or today, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, twitch.tv/SpotlightGamesPod. So be sure to follow us there so that you know when we're going live so you can be part of the conversation. Cayman, we have a new episode of Save Trash Cinema out on the podcast feeds today. Tell the folks at home what we got for them. Where did we go this week?
So we went to the year 2019.
Okay.
Which is a little interesting.
The before times.
This is interesting. This is pre-COVID time. So, who God knows. We did a little known film called VFW. If you don't know what a VFW is, go listen to that episode. Also, a VFW is the Veterans of Foreign Wars. These are bars posted around the United States. The movie is just an absolute bloodbath. Truly. Fucking bloodbath. It's a modern grindhouse film. It's just full of neon colors, full of really great 80s dark synth pop. It's full of 80s action heroes, but not the ones you're used to, like Schwarzenegger or Stallone. No, we got Stephen Lang. We got fucking William Sadler. We got Norm from Cheers. We got fucking Fred Williamson. These names mean nothing to you. Guess what? Go listen to that episode because it's honestly one of the most fun movies we've covered so far, in my opinion. Just an absolute, just a blood-soaked, fucking hilariously incredible movie.
A romp filled with blood and oozing with character.
Oozing with character.
Yeah. So yeah, check it out. Well, Cayman, why don't we jump into the show? Why don't we talk about what we're playing? I got 6 minutes until the draft starts. So we're almost there.
Am I going to help you pick your draft?
I mean, maybe. If anyone in the audience plays fantasy football, maybe we can. I'll have like 30 seconds for my pick. So we'll have to be quick. So maybe the audience won't be able to help. But let's talk a little bit about what we're playing. Cayman, in this time that you've not been feeling well, have you been playing a lot of games or have you just been like fucking dead?
So, funnily enough, I've not played a single video game since Monday.
Okay.
I slept all day yesterday. Like I was awake for maybe a total of 4 hours yesterday. Okay. However, I did play a ton of games Friday and Saturday.
Fantastic.
And when I say a ton of games, I jumped back into Rocket League for the first time in like a year.
Look at you.
Yeah, jump back in. Guess what? Still not great. Very fucking rusty at Rocket League. We played some Dead by Daylight. They just introduced Albert Wesker from the Resident Evil series is now a new villain.
Yep.
They've altered up the Raccoon City PD map has been altered. They were running like a special event. So we played a bunch of DBD. We jumped back into Evil Dead again.
Ooh, we got back into
Evil Dead. We got back into Evil Dead, getting prepped up for Mia and David, who are going to be joining from the Evil Dead reboot. They're going to be in the game. So we're getting ready for that. They're also introducing a new demon this month as well. So we're just trying to get our bearings, make sure that we're, shake off some of that rust, getting ready for when they come out. And then played Saints Row. Almost done with Saints Row.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, getting close to the end.
So of those, I lost count after your 6th game. So what's the highlight? What are if people at home are thinking about playing any of those, what's the one that you want to tell them to play?
Oh man, I would say the first 3, Rocket League, Dead by Daylight, and Evil Dead, they're much, much better when you're playing with friends.
Sure.
So if you want an experience where you're going to be hanging out with your buddies and you're going to be shooting the shit while playing a game, that's the only way I recommend playing at least Evil Dead and at least Dead by Daylight, especially Dead by Daylight. Like that game very much calls for you having a team or you're pretty much fucked. So if you're looking to socialize without having to get near people, which is what I'm doing right now, then I definitely recommend the 3 of those are great options. But also, man, I really, the more time I put into Saints Row, the more I'm just enjoying it. Like, it's just one of those, like, I feel like it's nostalgic in a way that's like, we don't get games like this anymore, where it's just like, you got missions and you got a bunch of crazy fucking side mini games to do outside of those missions. And if you just want to blow a bunch of shit up, if you want to get hit by a bunch of cars while doing insurance fraud, or if you want to try to sell some weapons off to some military groups and you need to show them off by blowing up half the city, guess what? Sure. Saints Row is perfect for you. Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those weird games. Like it is, I think it's just a really fun. Now there is a co-op mode, which for me to be able to get the platinum on it, I have to find someone who's playing, which might be a harder ask than I initially expected.
Could be
like no one's playing this game.
Could be
no one wants to get near it. So, but yeah, outside of that, no, I think like Saints Row has been a great time. But like I said, if you want to play with friends, I definitely recommend DBD, Dead by Daylight. I think that's like it's just a really fun game to play, but you really need to have people to play with because it's really tough if you can't communicate.
Sure. I wish DBD was Dragon Ball D, the prequel to Dragon Ball Z.
Did you hear that they announced the release date of Dragon Ball Survivor?
No, what is that? Is that starring or hosted by Jeff Probst?
It should be. It should be. It's basically you get to play a bunch of powerless characters in the DBZ universe. And you get stalked by, basically like Dead by Daylight, you get stalked by a villain, and it's villains from the Dragon Ball universe, like Frieza or Cell, and they try to hunt you down and kill you while you're trying to essentially escape Earth.
How
And
bizarre.
it's such a weird, like, why the fuck, like, that is a game that, like, why? I have no fucking idea, but it exists, and it comes out October 18th, I want to say. I'll have to double check that. But yeah, that game is indeed coming. Why? No earthly idea, but you know, maybe one day I will I'll jump in and figure out why that game exists.
Maybe. That sounds kind of amazing, but I was never a DBZ boy, so it doesn't speak to me, but for all of our Goku stands out there, I hope that does everything you want it to.
I was wrong. It's Dragon Ball The Breakers is the name, not Dragon Ball Survivor.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Okay, so Jeff Probst not being there is acceptable.
True. And it comes out October 14th. So I was wrong on both accounts.
Wow.
That was close. I was kind of close.
He gets sick and he can't get anything straight. Less than a minute, folks.
The brain fog is for real.
Less than a minute until the draft starts. I'm the 7th pick of an 8-team draft. 2 quarterbacks, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 2 flex, 1 tight end, no defense, no kicker. We're gonna see what happens.
A double flex, that's terrifying.
Yeah, double flex and double quarterback. So I'm a little out of my element, but hey, that's what happens. I have been playing The Last of Us Part 1 on the PlayStation 5 came in, and I gotta say, the game's fucking great. It's The Last of Us with better graphics and like some other better quality of life things. We have some reviews that I've pulled that we can kind of dive into a little deeper with it in a bit. But I did want to share a couple takeaways if you would have me.
Yeah, absolutely.
So like the main thing, if you know you haven't heard, the main thing is they just kind of made the graphics better. They built the whole game from the ground up. It looks like The Last of Us Part 2, but better. There hasn't been a lot of gameplay tweaks. Like they did some AI stuff. They kind of made the gunplay feel a little better, but Joel still kind of feels like Joel. There's no, laying on the ground. There's no dodging like you could in Part 2. It is very much the first game, just rebuilt entirely. So that I think is a positive and a negative. Like it feels like the same game, which is my favorite game. So like it feels at home, but just better. It kind of has that like uncanny valley situation where like when you think back on a game you played 15 years ago, your brain kind of like fills in the gaps and is like, oh, it looks like a game today, but then it actually looks like total dog shit. So it's like how I remember the game looking, but then you look at comparisons and it looks nothing like that. But the gunplay does feel noticeably better. Like playing as Joel, I feel like I'm a lot more accurate with, and maybe that's because it's at 60 frames now, which the original wasn't. Maybe it's just in my head, but it does feel like the gunplay is a lot easier to control and a lot better. But it is a shame that they weren't able to do anything new for this outside of the quality of life, graphical things like that. I was really hoping when it was first announced that there would be like a director's cut type thing where like maybe you could play it all in chronological order with the DLC, or maybe there was just some like cut scenes or like anything more, but there isn't. This is very much, I think, a game for a new audience and for the people that are going to be excited after watching the show, or, if they have just never gotten around to playing it and now they finally have a PlayStation 5 and, this is like the best time to play it. So I think if you haven't played this game, I think this is the way to play it, like undoubtedly, without a question in my mind. There's no reason to play the PS3 or PS4 versions with this being out. However, if you are a gamer with any sort of disability, the amount of accessibility option in this game is truly staggering. Like they have added some new things that I've never seen done in games before that I think is really cool. And I hope more games do it. Because so they have this really cool thing where you can with the DualSense controller, it'll vibrate to your like with the lines that are being delivered, it'll like match the timbre and like the cadence of the line. So like you can feel how it's being said as opposed to just reading how it's been said. And with its subtitles can also match that if you want. Like it'll kind of show you the words as they're saying it and like slow down if they're slowing down or like speed up if they're speeding up. So they're like those are some really cool things. And they also added for blind players if like there's someone basically like narrating the game for you too. Like in cinematics, it'll say like Ellie crosses the room and notices Joel laying on the couch and his watch is broken and it's a broken because of blah blah blah, and like it'll kind of give context for those kinds of things. So there are these like really cool like storytelling techniques with the accessibility features that I've never seen before that I think are really cool. But if that is something that wouldn't enhance your experience, like there isn't a lot here to enhance your experience outside of graphics, which at the end of the day I do think is a miss, but it is what it is. So if you're a new player, pick it up, or if you just really love the game, then pick it up. But if you're like kind of back and forth on it, you might want to wait until there's a price drop. Which brings me to ask you, Cayman, is this something that you think you will pick up, or are you going to wait for a price drop?
Yeah, this is going to be one I'm going to wait for a price drop on. It's not that I have any qualms with spending money on a game like this. I think for me, that's like what you said is the issue, right? Like I don't mind spending $60, $70 on a remaster, or not a remaster, but like a remake, which is what they're calling it. But ultimately, at the end of the day, a lot of the adjustments that are made aren't really adjustments for me, which is totally great. Like I'm glad that that's the case. Like that audiences who weren't able to play the game the first time can. However, it just means to me like, hey, if it's the exact same game, it just looks a little better. Like if this was like, if I hadn't played The Last of Us on PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, and played it recently as well, then yeah, sure. But like I played it just like a year ago.
Yeah. And so like for you, like unless you come across a copy for cheap, or like if I bought it physically, you could have borrowed mine. But like, it's I hear you. And I don't blame you. Like I think that's a totally fair call. I will say though, something that I didn't mention, I meant to mention in like the cinematics, the graphics are so much better that like certain moments are like they pack such a harder punch. Like I don't want to spoil anything in case anyone hasn't played it and this is the reason that they would pick it up, but like at the beginning of the game, like really like high tense situations, like the prologue, for example, I was shocked at how much more those scenes impacted me just because it looks better. Like and some of the characters like Tess and Bill look considerably different than the originals. Like same basic, like Bill's a bigger guy with long hair and a beard, but like his face model, and same with Tess's, it looks a lot different than the original. And that detail really, I think, enhances the performances in a way that I should have expected, but I kind of wasn't expecting. So that is one other thing I meant to mention. But yeah, we're going to talk a lot more about The Last of Us in a little bit. I do want to say, Tony Thomas in the chat. Handsome Tony. He wants to know what my fantasy team name is. My fantasy team name is Handsome Tony, believe it or not. And I've already picked two people. I very slyly picked two people during my spiel about The Last of Us. My first two picks, I got Austin Eckler.
Okay, good pick.
For the Los Angeles Chargers. And I stacked him with his quarterback, Justin Herbert. On the Los Angeles Chargers.
Herbert on 2.
Well, because it's a 2-quarterback league.
Oh, okay,
Josh Allen was pick 3. Patrick Mahomes was pick 6. So like quarterbacks are going. So I jumped on the Herbert train and went with the stack. So
get this. I picked up Michael Pittman Jr.
Ooh.
In the 5th round.
How many teams?
12.
Come on, dog. Who is Bennett in this league?
No, that was Bennett's in a different league.
Okay. I'm sure.
It's just like, why no one picked? Okay.
I mean, this is we'll stop talking about fantasy at length after this. Stephon Diggs just went in the 3rd round. Like that's how wild this draft is because it's a 2-quarterback league. Oh man, and the guy who got Josh Allen stacked him. I don't like that. All right, let's jump into some news. Why don't we talk about that big new Nintendo game hitting the shelves? Cayman, are you feeling up for reading these reviews for us?
I can. Let's do this. I'm going to give your voice a break and your fantasy team all the attention it needs.
Hey, thanks, baby.
All right, so this first review comes from Anna Diaz from Polygon. They don't give it a number. I don't know, does Polygon give numbers anymore?
I don't think they do numbers.
No. So this is what Anna says. They say, coming back to Splatoon feels like stepping back into a big, messy home. On one hand, the developers have sanded down some of the rougher edges that have adorned the series since the beginning. New weapons, courses, and more developed online functionality have all gone a long way in improving the overall experience. On the other hand, the game still feels like it's treading water. At this point, it might be too little too late. The series has had 2 chances to evolve and continue to be a standout series for a generation of Nintendo fans, but it's only taken baby steps when it needed to take leaps. Splatoon 3's script and characters suggest it's been keeping up with the times since it burst onto the scene 7 years ago, but its stagnant design pillars suggest otherwise. The result is a game that reaches for the excitement of the original, but can't quite grasp it. Now, this comes from Brendan Graber, who reviewed the single-player portion of the game and gave it an 8 out of 10 from IGN. He said, Splatoon 3's single-player campaign takes all the highs of Splatoon 2's creative Octo expansion missions and places them in a satisfying hub world where freedom of choice lets you get as much as you want out of your playthrough. Confident that you'll be back for more. Even when it relies heavily on familiar enemies, smart level design, and objectives, the bosses brimming with personality keep things fresh for the whole ride. On multiplayer, which is a review in progress, but would be a 9 out of 10 today if he had to score it, he says, I'll be updating this review with my final thoughts and a score once I've spent more time swimming through its live servers, but what I've managed to play has already been a lot of fun, with enough tweaks and new additions to feel like a new and vastly improved version of a game I already loved. I'm not playing
Shakalaka. Yeah, I also don't think I'm gonna play it either. Like the single player getting an 8 out of 10 is like, oh great. Like I'm glad that the single player nailed it. But like, I don't know. I think I just don't care about Splatoon. I think is kind of where I'm at the end of the day. Like I think even if this got a 10, I don't know that I would have really been that excited.
Because like it's like interesting. You get games like like Dead by Daylight, which you've been playing, where it's like it is cooperative in a very different manner than something like this. Like this is like individual performance dictates how well a match goes. But with like Dead by Daylight, it's also a multiplayer game, but it's very much dependent on like I could be having a bad game, but my teammates can help me. Or like if I'm just not being able to do it, like there's things I can do that are unrelated to the ultimate task at hand that I can do to be able to swing the match in our favor if I'm just not excelling. So like I can, instead of me being like, look, I'm going to go take the killer on a chase run for a while to give my teammates time to pop some Jennies, then like I can do that. Or I can be like, hey guys, like I am really struggling today. I just need to hide and I need to go cleanse totems, or I need to go work Jennies. I got to stay out because like I just cannot do these things. And something like Splatoon, I feel like is very much like you have to be at the top of your game at all times, and like that can very much make or break an experience there. And I don't know, it's also just a game like just doesn't strike any interest in me.
Yeah, I agree. Like I feel like the art style is kind of cool, but like it's not cool enough to bring me in. Like there is nothing that's like jumps out as being special to me about it, which I could be totally wrong. Like I know people who swear by this game and think it's amazing. It's just not for old Patty. Why don't we bring it back to The Last of Us? I should have I don't know why I jumped away from The Last of Us and then I'm just coming right back. So this is we have a couple of reviews for The Last of Us Part 1. Pulling this first one from Luke Riley at IGN, who gave it a 9 out of 10. Worth noting, the original PS3 version reviewed by Colin Moriarty was a 10 out of 10, so they dropped it by a point. Luke says, a gorgeous and well-honed remake of one of the biggest boppers in the PlayStation pantheon, The Last of Us Part 1 is the best way to play or replay Naughty Dog's esteemed survival classic. The striking improvements it makes to its completely rebuilt world are complemented by the subtle refinements of its characters' performances And while it isn't retrofitted with every one of the sequel's best changes, the upgrades to movement and AI make a welcome difference in an already outstanding game. It's harder to argue it was an entirely crucial remake, though, considering 2014's The Last of Us Remastered still stands head and shoulders above nearly all of its story-driven action adventures peers to this day. And then The Verge, another unscored review, Andrew Webster says, if you didn't like TLOU, The Last of Us in the first place, this remake won't change your mind. It's still gruesome and dark, a mix of a heart-rending post-apocalyptic story and a sometimes awkward video game. The core is the same as always. What this remake does, though, is smooth the transition between the two games in the franchise. Think of it like sanding away most of the game's rough edges. That will likely be important to those who played part 2 before the original, or the hypothetical brand new audience that will be introduced to The Last of Us through HBO's live action adaptation next year, or the standalone multiplayer experience that's also coming. The Last of Us is now a franchise, and within that framework, a remake so soon actually makes a lot of sense. So yeah, kind of, reiterating a little bit what I had said during my review, but I do think it's really interesting. So 89% on Metacritic as of yesterday morning when I first put these in, compared to 95% on PS3. Yeah. But like, I think objectively, this game is so much better than the PS3 version. Although the PS3 version has the multiplayer, this one doesn't. And I think the multiplayer version or multiplayer mode is actually pretty rad for The Last of Us. But it's just weird. Like, I know putting a number on art is weird and controversial to some people, but like, so I don't know. It's weird to me.
That brings up a good question. Something I haven't seen online, and I haven't really looked because I guess I didn't think too much about it. But what was it? The Last of Us was what, like Survivor mode, or what was the multiplayer mode called?
Factions.
Is that included at all, or is there a different multiplayer mode for this time, or
nothing? It's just the single player game. Yeah, and Left Behind that also has the DLC, but yeah, that's it.
Interesting. Yeah, I really do. Like, we talked off air about this before, but I was like, I really feel like if they were to have included, even if they were to be like, hey, it's $80, right? And be like, you get The Last of Us Part 1, Part 2, and Left Behind in one package. Like, I'd be like, okay, that's a reasonable price to pay. For me, I would pay $80 for that. But yeah, once again, I think the price point here is, I think they missed the mark on that. And I think that the fact that they didn't really include anything additional, especially they've removed a part of it, kind of, because the definitive edition or the remaster on the PlayStation 4 included Left Behind as well. So like, it is kind of I don't know. I feel like Sony kind of missed the mark. I know that they put a lot of time and energy into making it better in certain ways, but like, it's still the same game.
Right.
And I do think that like the price point is a good reason some people are laying off of it. But Patrick, let me go into the speculation station.
Perfect. Quick. Let me pull up. You go ahead. I'm going to pull up the screenshots.
Beautiful. So this comes from, I feel like I'm going to butcher this entire name. I'm so sorry. Oizen Kunuki?
Kunke, maybe? Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard their name spoken.
Well, they're from GameSpot, and if you're listening, I'm so sorry. Some art that has been found in The Last of Us Part 1 has fans thinking it's a tease for Naughty Dog's next game. As spotted by a number of fans and shared by Naughty Dog Central, some new art has cropped up in The Last of Us Part 1 that isn't in the original game. The art shows a number of fantasy images, one of which shows a warrior facing a fire-breathing dragon, another showing some kind of snake-like beast wrapped around what looks to be a triangular-shaped moon, and another showing a horned Pegasus. Fans have been discussing the art in the Gaming Leaks and Rumors subreddit, with some speculating that the prospect of Naughty Dog developed fantasy game. This wouldn't be the first time that Naughty Dog has teased one of its future titles in its games. When Uncharted 3 launched in November 2011, fans quickly spotted a news clipping referencing The Last of Us, which was announced the following month, though that was technically an accident as the game was meant to be revealed around the same time Uncharted released. Fans also previously spotted a piece of art from Naughty Dog senior concept artist Hyung Taek Nam, showing a swordswoman sitting on a dead dragon on the artist's ArtStation account. But when fans started to ask questions whether it was for a new game, Nam changed the description to say it was inspired by Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Director Neil Druckmann did acknowledge that Naughty Dog is working on a new game at Summer Game Fest when The Last of Us Part 1 was officially announced, but he noted that it was too early to reveal anything just yet.
So yeah, what do you think? Like, do you think this is we're reading into it, or do you think this is like, because like the images look very not Naughty Dog?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel torn on it. On one hand, I do agree.
And like they got that little sticker right there. Like, look at that.
Yeah, like Naughty Dog has a tendency to like to put little Easter eggs in to their games. Like, you know, when they announced like The Last of Us from the newspaper clippings, I want to say they did something similar to that with Uncharted 4. But they like to put little Easter eggs and little nods from previous games or games that they're working on or things like that. I do like it would be interesting to see them do something in the fantasy space, but also we've got games already being developed that are fantasy focused, like God of War and Forspoken. Like a Jack and Daxter reboot would be.
Could
fantastic.
it be a Jack and Daxter reboot? Tony
I would
in the
love
chat.
it. I would love it.
Could you imagine a open world, dark and gritty Jack and Daxter?
I mean, that was Jack and Daxter 3.
Oh, was it? I never played Jack and Daxter.
Jack and Daxter 3 was a very dark game. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I think it'd be interesting to see what Naughty Dog does outside of like the very grounded worlds of The Last of Us and Uncharted. But at the same time, like, I kind of want them to stay in the same and like just keep giving us games like that. Like, those are what I want from Naughty Dog. Like, I want them to just make really good narrative focused linear games.
Yeah.
And while this is really interesting, like for me personally, I don't think this is something I want, but I would be interested to see like what they do if they were to do that.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Well, we'll have to wait and see. All right, let's do a quick fantasy football update. So I'm on the clock right now. I got 46 seconds.
All right, let's do
my
this.
Current team.
Yeah.
Herbert and Eckler, Saquon Barkley, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Hurts, and Gabriel Davis. I'm thinking I'm probably going another wide receiver here. I'm between Deontay Johnson and Mike Williams. I already have 2 Chargers, but Deontay Johnson got a little bit of a busted shoulder right now. Do you think
I would say
my third Charger is a bad idea, Cayman?
Dude, in one of my leagues, I've got Joe Mixon, I've got Joe Burrow, and I've got Jamar Chase. So
let's go. Mike Williams on the board.
Let's do this. Beautiful. Mike Williams is a solid pick though too, especially if you got Herbert.
Yeah. I just hope that it doesn't end up vulturing me. But hey, this is just kind of a fun league. This is a little league for fun. All right. So this next story came in. I'm very excited about. Let me stop sharing. I'm doing too many things at once. Why I thought drafting a football team while live recording a podcast was a good idea, I'll never know.
Well, it's my fault. I'm the one that was like, "Hey, I can't record this day. We got to postpone." So this is on me.
Nah, it's kind of also on this league for fucking changing the time. Okay, because the season starts tomorrow, so we're against the clock. So this is Jason Schreier at Bloomberg. It looks like this weekend we're getting a bunch of Assassin's Creed news, and I'm really excited. Cayman, could I have you read this because I'm about to have another pick?
Yeah, absolutely. So like Patrick said, from Jason Schreier over at Bloomberg, he says Ubisoft Entertainment SA will announce several new games in the Assassin's Creed franchise Saturday, including one set in feudal Japan, according to media reports and people familiar with the company's plans. Ubisoft has teased the idea that new titles will be announced at its Ubisoft Forward event on Saturday, saying it will reveal a peek at future, or excuse me, it's saying it will, quote, reveal a peek at future of the franchise. I'm sorry, I'm so brain fogged. The company plans to showcase a mobile title in 2 major games, said the people who asked not to be named, discussing private information. The first major game, codenamed Red and developed by Ubisoft's Quebec office, is set in Japan. The second major game, codenamed Neo or Hex, and developed by Ubisoft Montreal office, is set during the latter stages of the Holy Roman Empire and revolves around witch trials. Both Red and Neo are part of Assassin's Creed Infinity, a platform for future games in the series that will contain multiple settings, as Bloomberg reported last year. The two games will likely not release until 2024 at the earliest. A Ubisoft spokesperson declined to comment. On Saturday, Ubisoft also plans to show more of Assassin's Creed Mirage, which was announced last week following widespread leaks. That game, codenamed Rift, is set in Baghdad during the 800s and was once an expansion for the previous game Valhalla before it was converted into a full game. Bloomberg reported earlier this year. Assassin's Creed Mirage will veer away from the role-playing game elements established in recent series entries and instead aim to return to the stealth focus of early titles in which players sneak around to perform assassinations. So this Saturday, we're getting our first look at the next step in Assassin's Creed franchise. Patrick, is this something that you are looking forward to?
Abso-goddamn-lutely. I love Assassin's Creed. I've gone away from it lately. Like Valhalla didn't do it as much for me. Odyssey, I did have a lot of fun with, but like I do miss the older, like smaller feel of Assassin's Creed. And I'm one of the weirdos that really loves the modern day story. Like I think I've talked about it on the podcast before. All the Desmond stuff from the first 3 games, like I thought that was all so fascinating, and they've just gotten really far away from that. So I almost kind of hope that the modern day is really rooted in Infinity. But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of weird, like there's a lot of cool stuff here. Japan, ancient Roman or Holy Roman Empire witch trials, and then of course the Mirage that's going to be set in Baghdad. That's supposed to feel like a smaller Assassin's Creed game. Yeah, I don't know. There is I think a lot to go wrong here. I think there's a lot of potential that this could end up just really muddying the franchise and it being really convoluted. But I'm excited to see Mirage first and foremost, since it's kind of the smaller, old school feeling, supposedly, Assassin's Creed. Now, I'm interested to see what a current Ubisoft feels the old Assassin's Creed felt like. Like, is it just that the maps are smaller and it's very Assassins focused, or is it that it's a lot of like tailing missions where you're like, you have to stay within like a certain number of feet because those missions blew. So it's like, I'm interested to see like what this means for them, but I am excited about what this could mean for the franchise because yeah. What about you though, Cayman? Like I know you can be hot and cold on Assassin's Creed. So what are you feeling right now?
Yeah, it's interesting. So the probably the only Assassin's Creed game that like really sunk its hooks into me was Origins. I really loved Origins. Like hands down one of my favorite games.
Yeah.
In the series. Just I mean, I think it's just like a perfect example of like how to make an open world game. Like it's just a ton of fun, like just a great game. And it's more small scale, which I also liked. And I feel like the 2 games after Odyssey Valhalla just exploded in size, got way too big for its own britches, and just became a bit of a nuisance by the end. When you're like, I've completed all of these things. I haven't even gotten like, I'm not even halfway through the story and I've already put in 70 hours. Like, stop. I don't have time for this. So the idea of a smaller game, I really like. It's what worries me is like, I think part of what I enjoyed about Origins was that it started to throw in some role-playing aspects. Like I enjoyed the fact that like I could get better armor and I could get better weapons and I could change up the way my character looked and things like that. Like I really enjoyed that part. And if we're not going to be able to get that anymore, like that kind of sucks. But then the whole idea of an Infinity is just so weird to me. Like I don't know what it is. Like I'm just so curious as like what it is exactly. Are we getting smaller bite size, like 15-hour, almost like the Dark Tale, what is it? Dark Tales anthology, the
Dark Pictures.
Sorry. Are we going to get like 15-hour games all set within the universe and they're going to be releasing one every 6 months? Like, is that what Infinity is going to look like? And do I want that? And then that's the big question. So then you run into that, or is it like, hey, at any given point, as they're starting to release these games, at any given point, you can just like when you get in the Anubis, can you just jump into a different body So like,
ooh, that's cool.
it's going to be like, hey, like you're getting in, where do you want to go? Do you want to go to Japan? Do you want to go to Holy Rome and Empire while it's collapsing and kill witches or whatever? I don't know what the fuck they're doing. Or do you want to go to London? Do you want to go? So like I like the idea of that. Like I think that's really cool. But I think if you're gonna do something like that, I think the way that you have to do it is to give yourself a hub world that is also explorable as well. So like if you don't want to jump in to like one of these worlds, like you still can explore the area around you, you know? So like in the previous games, like you had the option, like you could get out of the Anubis at any point in time. It's sometimes you were forced to get out because of story reasons, and then you got to explore. But like at any point, you could get out, you could walk around, you could, do. I feel like you have to have something like that. And then the question is, are they going to pull some quick shit where they're like, hey, this is like a games as a service, and you have servers where each server is a different time frame, and you can join other assassins on missions and shit like that. That would be really cool. Like, hey, like you get a bunch of fucking ninjas, like a whole team of ninjas. Like, we're going to go raid a palace, right? To assassinate some shogun or whatever. And you and like a group of friends get to do a raid together where you're all stealthing through. That sounds really cool to me. So I don't, but it all like the crux is like, what is the game?
Right.
We're
the
getting,
huge question.
Yeah, we're getting like little tidbits and little things that are like, hey, we're going to tell you some interesting information about this is the setting. This is like, well, what is the game exactly? And I do feel like that there's a world where you could have like something like the Division, right? Where like you have a bunch of people in like, in the Division you have like, so for instance, Division 2. You have like the White House is like the hub. And you go to the White House and you could see other agents running around. Like, could you imagine a world in which like it's like that, but when you get in the Anubis, there's like a ton of Anubises around. You get in the Anubis and then it takes you to wherever you want to go. And there's other assassins in there as well.
Sure.
Like that'd
be really cool.
That would be dope. I think that would be super cool. You could call in like random strangers for help to be like, hey, I've got this mission that I'm kind of struggling on. Like an extra body in here would be kind of nice to be able to take out a couple of these people that I need to assassinate. Would be pretty dope. Like I think that would be a lot of fun, but like we won't know, I suppose, until Saturday. So
yeah. So next week we'll report back all the things that, and also side note, Saturday for like a conference like this in the middle of September, like that's a weird.
Yeah.
We got some comments I've missed. John in the chat. Where's my adapter punk dog? Don't start with me. Let's talk about, so last week came in, we talked a little bit about the GameCube, the very, very timely Nintendo GameCube. And as it so often happens with this show, the next day we got some juicy rumors about upcoming shit with the Nintendo Switch, all about some GameCube games. So I'm pulling from VGC's Tom Ivan here. A Nintendo Direct presentation focused on Zelda announcements will reportedly be held in September. That's according to GamesBeat managing editor Mike Minotti and Giant Bomb reporter Jeff Grubb, aka Jeffy Grubb, who were speaking on a podcast this week. They say, quote, yes, Jeffy Grubb. To be clear, the one thing we are very, very sure is being announced at this Direct are the Wind Waker and Twilight Princess ports for Switch, Minotti said. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of Zelda stuff at this thing, Grubb said. I think this is like a Zelda blowout for Nintendo. 100% there's a Nintendo Direct in September. It's that simple. There is some uncertainty about whether this will be a general Direct, maybe a mini. There was some talk of it being a partner Direct. Grubb added, if they're going to have Zelda stuff there, this is not a partner Direct. And those are the things that we've been hearing. The specifics that were name dropped were Twilight Princess and Wind Waker HD ports for, I lost my spot, for the Switch. Which, again, even had we not heard that, I would be speculating that this would be happening right now while we wait for the run-up to Breath of the Wild 2. And yet we have heard that, and we've heard other things. Again, Metroid Prime Remaster, that sounds like it's going to be announced as something like this. It's a lot more, but it kind of just talks in circles. I meant to edit this in the doc, but I didn't. So, but it sounds like we might be getting Metroid Prime Remaster as well. Cayman, where's your head at? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. like if you're gonna try to, I mean, not that you really need to drum up excitement for Breath of the Wild 2. I mean, it was Game of the Year for majority of the outlets the year it came out. I don't think you really need to drum up excitement for a game like that, but
Sure.
this is a great way to drum up excitement about a bunch of remasters that you're going to want to drop, right?
Sure.
Use the Breath of the Wild excitement to be like, hey, guess what? You are getting Breath of the Wild 2. However, it's not going to be coming out for a year. In the meantime, we will have, and then you name drop what you are releasing. So people who are like, oh shit, Breath of the Wild 2, well, I want to get my Zelda fix now. Well, guess what? You can play Wind Waker and you can play Twilight Princess on the Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. I think that's great. I think the weird one is the Metroid Prime.
Yeah. Agreed.
Because, like, I mean, I get it. Like, Metroid Dread was a huge success for them. So there is excitement for Metroid, but you're also doing like what we found out apparently the greatest Metroid game ever made. Who fucking knew?
Right. Right.
And so like doing that, but I feel like that might backfire. Because there was a little bit of ire when they announced Metroid Dread because people were like, where the fuck is Metroid 4? Like, where is Metroid 4? And so I do think that you're kind of skirting a fine line where you're like, hey, you could play Metroid Prime Remastered. And everyone's going to be like, well, where the fuck is Metroid 4? And then you're going to have that. So that is interesting. But then again, it is a beloved game, so it might not be as bad. I don't really know. I really enjoyed Super Metroid on the Game Boy. That was like really my only Metroid experience I've ever had. But I think ultimately Wind Waker getting an HD treat, like getting like a good port for the Switch is really good. And I also think Twilight Princess is another one where I enjoyed Twilight Princess for what it was worth. I don't think it was as much of a Zelda game though. It didn't feel as much of a Zelda game to me, and I do really like my Zelda games. So I do think that that's going to be an interesting one. I think the big question here is like they're going to be announcing Breath of the Wild 2's release date, presumably, and giving us more than just like a teaser. So when do we think that game's actually going to come out?
I mean, I feel like this feels like the kind of thing that would be pretty quick. Like it seems like it would be announce it, mid-September for the holiday. Because like if you think about the rest of the year for Nintendo, there's not a ton. Like we're getting Splatoon this week in a couple days. We're getting Mario plus Rabbids next month, but that's kind of it for Nintendo. So I could see any of these or maybe even all of them coming later this year. So I don't know. I'm interested to see, but yeah, honestly, Wind Waker coming to Switch makes me ask the question, do I really want to get a Steam Deck? Because that was kind of one of the main reasons I wanted to get a Steam Deck, so I could play like ports of GameCube games and shit on it. But legally, of course. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully next week we'll have some answers on that we can report back to you, our sweet listeners. Cayman, I got a game to play. I got a game for you to play. We're going to play together, actually.
Okay.
It's basically Wordle. You're familiar with Wordle, yes?
Of course.
Let me share my screen. Chrome tab. Guess the game. So the way this is going to work, Cayman. Oh, too much of a zoom. The way this is going to work, we're going to have 6 guesses. Oh, got a little frog in my throat. We're going to have 6 guesses to guess the game. Can we see this okay on the screen? Let me see if I can get it a little better. How's that?
Beautiful.
So any ideas so far? And as we guess, and if we get it wrong, we're going to have like some hints and things. But anything jump off the bat for you what this could be so far? Also, if you're in the chat, let us know.
Quake. Guess 1.
Quake. Unbelievable. Did you know that, or was it an inkling?
Well, okay, so first things first, the graphic style is definitely a PC in the mid-90s. I could definitely, because I'm very familiar with my my retro FPSs like Quake, Doom, Wolfenstein. It's definitely later than Wolfenstein. And I definitely, the art style is way more grungy than Duke Nukem.
Okay.
So my guess was going to be Doom or Quake, but even Doom, it's still going to be more pixelated, more blocky. And then Quake was just the next one. I was like, that looks like Quake. That has the Quake color scheme. That is fucking insane. First try. I've
That's really
ruined this.
funny.
You know what?
No. So actually, we can play different days, so we can do this for a little bit as long as we
Okay.
want.
Because I was gonna say, did you see the news about The Witcher 3?
I don't think I did. What's happening with The Witcher 3?
So there was a leak that came out earlier today. I'm trying to pull up now. Give me a second.
Yeah.
But basically, what happened was there was a leak that came out that. Okay, here we go. All right, so this comes from VGC.
Okay.
And here, I'm pulling it up so I can tell you who wrote this. This is coming from Tom Ivan over at VGC. This came out today. The title is CD Projekt Red says Witcher 3's new gen release is on track for late 2022. So,
excuse me?
This is what they said. It said CD Projekt Red has confirmed that the updated version of The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt remains scheduled to be released for new gen consoles and PC later this year. During the company's first half earnings call on Wednesday, CD Projekt President and Joint CEO Adam Kaczynski said the game is on track to release during the fourth quarter of 2022. He also said the company expects this new Witcher saga, which was announced in March, to consist of, quote, more than one game. Witcher 3's new gen release was originally scheduled to arrive last year before being delayed to second quarter of 2022. However, in April, CD Projekt delayed its release again and brought development in-house to complete the project. The PS5 and Xbox Series XS editions of the game were being developed externally by Saber Interactive. Which also previously handled the game's Nintendo Switch port. CD Projekt said at the time it was, quote, evaluating the scope of the work to be done, end quote, on the game and to miss suggestions the product was in development hell. The new gen edition of Witcher 3 will include DLC items inspired by the Netflix series. It will be released as a standalone purchase for PC, Xbox Series XS, and PS5 as a free update for players who already own the game on PC, Xbox One, and PS4. So,
fuck out of here with that.
Also, today there was a huge Cyberpunk patch that
I was about to say. So wait a second. So see, there's a big patch that Shadow dropped, but then also they announced they're doing a whole new single player thing next year.
Yeah,
it's like so wait a second. So you're saying that you're going to release next gen Witcher and single player DLC within 4 months? Fuck you. No way.
I don't know.
That is truly insane to me. Like that is bad.
Did you play Witcher 3 when it came out?
I didn't play it when it came out. I played it like 2 years later, and I loved it.
See, I played it on launch, and it was buggy. But I mean, let's be honest, most games at launch are buggy. That's just the reality of the situation.
Yeah, for sure.
But I put so much time into Gwent. So much time. Gwent is the greatest in-game game you could ever play. Like, it's just so fucking good. But no, I'm very excited. I really hope that this is the case, that this does come out. Because I could definitely see myself around the holidays. Like if this comes out when we get like that weird lull around Christmas time where like I just sink like 50 straight hours into this game. So hoping that it does come out.
I mean, I hope so too. I whenever it does come out, I will be very excited. But I just don't buy that. Well, let's do a couple more of these because we can pick, like we can go oh wait, it's saying we skipped. That's not true. Pick a number between 1 and 114.
87.
87. This to me, my gut, I don't know that this is right, but my gut is like Call of Duty Modern Warfare
2.
You think Modern Warfare 2?
Modern Warfare 2.
Ooh.
Oh shit.
Let's try 4. Let's try Call of Duty Modern Warfare 4. Nope.
No, this is CS:GO.
Counter-Strike.
Yeah.
Global offensive.
Yeah.
You nailed it.
I would have got that in 2, by the way, Patrick.
Okay. Well,
you jumped to 4. You jumped to the first
That's
one.
okay. Give me another number.
Let's go 69.
69.
Nice.
Ooh, this looks so familiar to me, but I'm not sure what it is. For our audio listeners, it's like we're looking at like a tent with like a little green thing next to it. There's like some snow on the ground. I am at a loss for this. Let's see if John says Halo, but I wonder if was that for the last game. Let's because you don't have a thing, do you?
Potentially.
I don't think it's Halo, but
Team Fortress 2 maybe.
Ooh, because like the oh wow, I guess Team Fortress is not an option. The art style is very particular with this. Okay, yeah, John says that was the last game. Yeah, I am not sure with this. Let's skip this first one. Let's see if we can get. Okay, so the Metacritic was an 81%, and it gives us another.
Hold on, is that Fortnite?
Do you think like OG Fortnite maybe?
Yeah, try Fortnite.
That'd be hilarious if. Wow. Let's look ahead. Interesting. So yeah, that must be what it looked like at the beginning. Because it doesn't look like Fortnite right now, does it?
I don't know. I haven't played Fortnite since like it first was hot shit.
How funny.
I'm apparently pretty good at this.
Apparently.
You need to be more often, apparently.
Let's what's another number? I want to do like 3 more because they're going pretty quick, but this is fun.
Let's go 12. 12.
Ooh, we're going to the beginning. Oh, this is easy. That's The Witness. Boom, nailed it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, the second one would have been obvious.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. How about let's just scroll and pray. 101.
That's Dead by Daylight.
Look at us. Dead by Daylight. Nailed it. Let's look at a couple other.
That's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite maps too, because the pigs actually bleed.
Ooh!
Like when you're in there, like there's a gin right there next to him that you have to do. Is that
51
Thieves?
Could be Sea of Thieves. Nope.
Oh, It looks like a tactical game.
It does.
I don't want to say Sid Meier's Pirates, but I don't know. I'm not as up to date on my tactical games.
Yeah. Let's see. It is World of Warcraft is what Tony says.
Okay.
Let's see. Nope.
Okay, this is very much a tactical game. It might be Civilization, but which Civilization? There's like 6. Because you can see like modern buildings, right?
Oh, sure. Because original platform is PC. So a Civilization would make sense. Civilization. Maybe Revolution?
Sure.
Nope. Turn-based strategy. Turn-based, though. Is Civ turn-based?
I think so.
$2016.
Oh.
Maybe it's Civ 6 because let's try that. There you go.
Oh, look at that. Look at that. There's just so many of those fucking games.
I know. So many goddamn games. All right. Last one. Pick our final number for us.
There's going to be so much dead air in this episode for our audio listeners who are like, what are you fucking guys doing?
I'll edit it out, baby. How about 43?
43. Ooh.
It's pretty. We got a mountain landscape.
Far Cry 4.
Oh, but it had 93 on Metacritic. So that's a pretty good score.
That's a very good score, yeah.
This image actually doesn't help me
at all.
Let's go back.
See, what's getting me is in the corner there. There's like a thing.
Yep.
And that's why I'm like,
maybe were there any other Far Cries with? Well, no, Far Cry 93% though.
Would it be Skyrim? Did Skyrim score that high?
It might have. No. PC, PS4, Xbox One was the console.
PC, PS4, Xbox
One. Let's see if anyone in the chat. John says The Witcher. Let's try The Witcher.
God damn it, he's right.
We just about it.
It was the fucking. It was the sunflowers is from Blood and Wine.
Nailed it.
Yeah, that was good because it's more like the Blood and Wine DLC is like very, very fantasy, almost like a fairy tale. It's weird. Really, really fucking good though. Awesome job, John. Proud of you.
Proud of you, John. Well,
that was a lot of fun.
A tight 60 minutes. A tight 60 minutes. Oh, I'm sorry. Thomas said it first, and I missed that. Tony Thomas. I was just reading. I wasn't thinking. Tony Thomas with the win there, not John. John, get fucked.
You know, I'm proud of both of you.
I am proud of both of you, but all right, that's our show. And why don't we end the show with my final pick? It went off the rails so fast. My team is total dog shit. I'm gonna get a third quarterback. My options are Daniel Jones, Zach Wilson, Deshaun Watson, who I refuse to pick because he's a terrible human being. Kenny Pickett.
Okay,
here's the thing. A rookie.
Here's the thing. Kenny Pickett's a rookie. He's also on the bench right now, but he is a sleeper pick for me in one of my leagues. I picked him with the very last pick of the draft.
Kenny Pickett.
Specifically because there's a good chance by game 3 he will be the starter. Because he looked incredible during preseason.
Boom.
So I think like he will be the starter, and then he's got George Pickens, Najee Harris. I think once he gets on the field, he's going to be stellar. Because Mason Rudolph is not going to last as a starting quarterback for the Steelers.
No way. Yeah, no way.
Not going to happen.
Right. Let's hope it happens. Tony, thanks for being here. John, thanks for being here. Miss you both. Have a great rest of your night. And if you're listening at home, thanks for joining. You know what? Actually, what I didn't do, let's do this real quick. Little game release update of the calendar.
Yeah.
Because it's a pretty meaty one this week, actually. So PlayStation Plus Essential for September has been announced and is now live. Need for Speed Heat on PlayStation 4, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, whatever the fuck that is, on PS4. Toem on PS5. And then for PS Plus Premium and Extra, you're getting Deathloop. You're getting Assassin's Creed Origins. You're getting Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. You're getting Watch Dogs 2. You're getting Chicory: A Colorful Tale. You're getting some game with Monster Energy drinks and dirt bikes. I don't remember the name, but it's not Death Stranding. You're getting Scott Pilgrim. You're getting Rayman Legends. You're getting Spiritfarer Farewell Edition. What a fucking lineup for PS Plus Premium and Extra. And then for classics, for the PS Premium only, you're getting Siphon Filter 2. You're getting Sly Collection. You're getting Sly Cooper Thieves of Time. And then Toy Story 3 for the PSP. And then coming to Game Pass this month, we're having, as of today, you can play Disney Dreamlight Valley. You can play Opus Magnum. You can play Train Sim World 3. Next week on the 13th, you can play Ashes of the Singularity and DC League of Super Pets. On the 14th, you can play You Suck at Parking. And on the 15th, you can play Despot's Game and one of Cayman's most anticipated games of the year, Metal Hellsinger. And then today, Nintendo announced that they're doing a Scarlet and Violet special edition OLED version of the Switch that's launching in November. So if you're looking at getting an upgrade into an OLED and you like Pokemon, got a nice little Scarlet and Violet Joy-Con happening with a fun little thing as well. So if any of those speak to you, run, don't walk to pick them up on your console of choice, and run, don't walk to your favorite podcast app to subscribe to the Spotlight Games podcast and Save Trash Cinema the podcast. Follow us on YouTube, subscribe, ring the bell, whatever, ring a ding. Follow us on Spotlight Games, twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. You can follow me on Twitter, Patrick Schreck. You can follow Cayman on Twitter at Kid Cayman. You can follow the pod at Spot Games Pod on Twitter, and then Spotlight Games Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. That is our show. Thank you so much. I will report to anyone who's interested my full team, but I won't waste your time right now. But tell you what, it ain't good. Cayman, any final words for our audience?
Don't go grocery shopping.
Don't go grocery shopping. And remember,